Hey folks, Alamatic the Hot Rod Hippie here. This week's video is my first car feature video. We're featuring Karl Hacker's 1968 marvelous Mad Mini Cooper. This thing is tube chassis, wide body, V8 powered, rear wheel drive. It is a serious go-kart. Everywhere you turn there is something to see about this car. The video ended up just a little bit longer than I anticipated because there's so much to see and hear about this car. So let's check out the story. As soon as you peek your head underneath of this car, you know there's something different going on here. This is a full tube chassis. You'd be hard pressed to know this is a Mini Cooper just from the underside. It looks more like a race car, a road track car, than it does anything else, with rear wheel drive, independent rear suspension. This thing is more of a fabrication marvel underneath than it is a Mini Cooper. The front and rear suspension are heavily modified C4 Corvette suspensions. The steering is controlled by a smart car steering rack, just one of many components from various vehicles making up this car. The engine motivating this car down the road is a Cadillac Northstar V8 4.6-liter overhead cam engine. The only internal modification that Karl has made to this motor is he advanced the intake timing gears one tooth to go ahead and create a little bit better low-end torque. The electronic fuel injection is controlled by a Holley HP fuel injection system that allows Karl to dial this thing in as he needs, especially when he wants to make modifications down the road. Power is sent to the rear wheels through a Tremec 5-speed transmission out of a Firebird. It required a little bit of a modification, such as using a 2.8-liter V6 bell housing to mate up to the Northstar, which then still required further modification, as many of the parts in this car did, such as the rear suspension in this thing is out of a C4 Corvette. However, that is modified, it's narrowed, it has different links made up for it, and it has custom-made drive shafts going to the rear wheel hubs. All four corners of this car are actually riding on air ride suspension. It has RideTech shock waves at all four corners, so you have bags over top of coilover shocks to go ahead and provide the damping for this car. That Northstar V8 is breathing through a custom-made set of tri-Y stainless steel headers that are squeezed into this car because there is little room for anything in this package. The exhaust then breathes through a single Borla muffler, which creates a crossover point for the exhaust for a better balanced flowing design and a great sound that then exits out rear dual exhaust pipes. Let's go ahead and let this thing speak for itself. The interior of this car screams race car, but it's still comfortable. At no point when we were riding around in this car did I find myself uncomfortable in any way. There are custom handmade aluminum panels everywhere inside of this car. The column is out of the donor Cadillac that the engine came out of, but it's been modified to tilt away so you get easier access in and out of the car and is adjustable for different drivers. The gauge cluster in this car is an Intellitronix design, a digital dashboard that really just kind of suits the overall racer aesthetic of this car. Karl was making a custom instrument cluster to put this into, a housing for the gauges, when he realized it was really just the shape of a valve cover. So he picked up a set of cheap aluminum valve covers off of eBay, and you have yourself a gauge cluster, a unique design that just fits this car. The doors on the car are a handmade aluminum construction with sliding windows. Karl also made these custom mini-shaped mirrors to go ahead and just fit the car. They have embedded lights for turn signal function as well. Part of why the interior of this car is comfortable when driving is that the radiator is rear mounted, so all the heat is back there. Karl modified an original trunk lid to be an open design to allow airflow for the radiator to get the air out of there. There are scoops on the rear quarter panels intaking air so the electric fans can breathe and cool down the motor. The wide body design of this car is handmade by Karl himself. It has rear flares that are built into the quarters, and on the front end you get these wire form front fenders on the car. Karl has talked about covering these in fiberglass and using the wire form as the mold, but most folks seem to feel that they really like the look of the wire form fenders. I think I personally agree with that. Karl started building this car in 2009 with nothing but a blank chassis table, a loose plan, a set of wheels and tires, and an original mini body to go ahead and put together into the car you see before you. He did have years of road racing background to apply to just get what he wanted out of this package. He got the car on the road in 2016, and to this day he doesn't necessarily consider it finished, because let's face it, when you build something yourself, do you ever truly consider the project finished? Karl would like to spread a message with this car. He's a Vietnam veteran who suffers from neuropathy. He finds it difficult to drive this car at times because he doesn't have good feeling of the pedals and their positioning. He wants other veterans to know that they are not alone. There are other people out there dealing with the same things that they are, and that they need to get on dealing with their cases with the VA as soon as they can. The sooner you get that case submitted, the sooner you get it dealt with. If you see Karl at a show, go ahead and talk to him. Check out this car. It is well worth your time. I want to thank Karl for showing us around this car. Since I first laid my eyes on it at the Collar City Cars and Caffeine a few months ago, I've been obsessed with it and I've just wanted to get back to it since then. Stick around for some bloopers in a moment, but that's going to wrap this video up, folks. Go ahead and drop the video a like if you found it interesting. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this car, what you think of this project, and Karl's message. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the car content every week. Thanks for coming around, folks. And here's your bloopers. I was going to intro this video by pulling up in the car and getting out and introing it, and I kept stalling it over and over and over. Yeah. I swear I've driven stick before.